Hi there. So today I wanted to show a bit about the Canon R5C and the audio adapter, which really brings Canon into a new era. Sony and Panasonic have had audio adapters for quite a while. The Panasonic GH5 came out over 5 years ago, and one of the things with that was the audio adapter, so that you could connect two XLR microphones with that and you could record that directly into your footage. Now the thing that both Panasonic and Canon have done this year is that with the advent of the Panasonic Lumix GX6 and the Canon EOS R5C, we have now 4-channel audio in the camera. And that means with the Canon R5C that you can record the 2 channels, so the stereo 3.5mm jack in the camera. You can record 2 microphones there, left and right. I have one here, you can't see it, this is a picoMic. So that is on one of the channels. The other one is still in its holder up there and it's muted. And then you can have 2 more microphones on the audio adapter. Now I have, for testing purposes, I have connected a Røde NT1, which is a condenser microphone, and I've also connected a Shure SM58, which is a dynamic microphone. So the Røde NT1 is phantom powered with 48 volt, and the SM58 is fed directly into the audio adapter. I have not used a cloud lifter, so straight into the adapter, and the gain is set at 3/4. This is the audio from the Røde NT1, and you can decide for yourself how that sounds. This is the audio from the Shure SM58, and you can now hear the audio from the picoMic, where the transmitter is set at a -12 dB gain, and then we'll see how much we have to lift it in post. I just didn't want too much clipping. So what you get with the Tascam adapter when you buy the Canon version is, first of all, you get this little battery pack here. You can see it has buttons. There's a battery powered on off, and there's a switch between nickel, metal hybrid, lithium and alkaline. So you open this up, and there's space for 2 cells in here, and they are AA's, and then you can fit that to the Tascam audio adapter. Now you don't need this, because the Tascam audio adapter is powered from the camera, from the internal battery, through the hot shoe. But the problem is that if you run off the internal battery, any modes that are over 30 FPS, so even 4K 60 or 1080p 60, will require 9 volt USB power, or the Canon DRE6C dummy battery, or any way, form or shape to get the voltage up, like what you usually only have with 8K 60. Once you power the Tascam audio adapter of the camera, that requirement increases to other resolutions. So you can mitigate that with this, or you can mitigate it with the 9 volt power feed via USB or the likes. The other thing that Tascam has given us is a cold shoe, so you can replace the hot shoe foot on the Tascam with the cold shoe one, if you want, and a 3.5mm stereo link cable. So you can actually take the audio out of the Tascam audio adapter and feed it into something else. So you not necessarily have to record the audio into the camera. It also means that with the battery and the audio cable, you can actually use it as a standalone audio recorder. So that's quite neat. Now, on top of the 2 XLR connectors on the Tascam, there's also a 3.5mm input that's called input 3. And basically what that is, that's another stereo 3.5mm jack. So you can decide that instead of using the 2 XLRs, that you actually use the 3.5mm jack instead, and then you could, for example, have two sets of wireless microphones like what I use right now. So one connected to the camera and one connected to the Tascam. You cannot mix and match between input 3 and the XLR. It has to be either or. So that's what that is. Now, if you want to record all four channels will have to be recorded internally in the camera. You cannot record them to HDMI. You can select in the camera that you want to record the two channels from the Tascam to HDMI, or you can select in the camera that you want to record the two internal channels to HDMI, but you cannot record all four channels to HDMI. So that's something to keep in mind. Then again, with the Canon R5C, there isn't much point of using an external recorder. Like all the reasons that you would have picked an external recorder previously with the Canon R5 or R6 or the EOS R, the reason you would have used an external recorder would have been to avoid the 29-minute, 59-second recording limit. And also in the case of the Canon R5, you try to avoid, obviously, to overheat the camera. It was one of the ways around that. So those issues are not there anymore. And that means you can internally record. The other thing that people often would have picked an external recorder for was cheaper media. And yeah, the media is still cheaper for the external recorder, but buying the external recorder and then buying the media, you add a price of like, I recently acquired a Angelbird 2 terabyte CF Express B card for under $600. Now that was on offer, but they go for under $1,000 these days. So in a 2 terabyte size. So prices have come down drastically on these. The price compared to having to pay for the external recorder doesn't really offset that. The other thing is, for example, you don't need the external recorder. Well, you can't even record all modes on the external recorder with the R5C. The R5C is just too powerful for the external recorders out there. So internal recording it is, and 4-channel audio. So that's great. I'll go through the menus and show a few things, and also maybe give a better overview of the Tascam Audio Adapter. So as we go into the menu here, at the moment the camera is recording with the internal microphone. And then we go into the audio menus. They are here. Everything is blanked out. As you can see on the first page, on the second page, on the third page. On the fourth page you then have the headphone volume and monitor channels and HDMI out channels. So the one thing, for example, that you can set here is that you want to monitor channel 1, channel 2, which is at this point is the internal microphone. You can set it to that you want channel 1 and 3 on left and channel 2 and 4 on right. This is only for monitoring, so this has no effect on what you're recording. So it's just for your headphone setup. Now again, HDMI out, you can choose to record channel 1 and channel 2, or you can choose to record channel 3 and channel 4. When there is no audio adapter connected to the camera, channel 1 and channel 2 are the internal connector. So at the moment, with no microphone connected at all to the EOS R5C, this is the internal microphone, and that's actually not stereo, so it's basically the same microphone on both channels. Once I connect a microphone to the microphone port, channel 1, channel 2 will be that microphone. So that's whatever what that is. If I then add the Tascam Audio Adapter to this, then the internal one will become channel 3 and channel 4. Now let me go out of this, back. Okay, so we'll go to page 1 here, and once I plug in the microphone into the mic port on the camera, which is what I'm doing now, you can now see channel 1, channel 2 become active. I can record separated on these channels if I want to. or I can go and I can say I want them linked. Basically, that way you have, if you, let's say you have the microphone on separated on there, then that would be a way of combining it. I haven't actually combined at the moment on my wireless microphone that I plugged in here. You can go and you can play with the recording levels. You can adjust them here if you don't have the ability to do that on your microphone. And as you can see, everything else here is still blanked out. Everything channel 3 related is still blanked out. You now have microphone attenuation, microphone low cut in here. And what we do then is we'll go now and we'll attach the Tascam Audio Adapter. So I slide that into the hot shoe and I click it in, and as you can see, now it has switched over to channel 3 and channel 4. I can specify it to be separated or combined, and then here I can set the levels. Right. So, and then here there's a few settings here that seem to be that still are grayed out, like the CineOS attenuator, CineOS low cut, and CineOS directionality. The reason these are grayed out is they are intended for a microphone that you can put into the hot shoe, not the microphone adapter from Tascam. Everything that you want to set audio wise on the Tascam adapter, you're setting manually, physically on the adapter. You don't set this in the camera, and that's why that stuff is all grayed out. Yeah, basically that's the audio setup. So there isn't a whole lot to do. You can do certain changes to the microphone port in the camera. All the settings for the Tascam adapter are done on the Tascam adapter on physical buttons and dials. So I hope that clarifies that. So if we look at the Tascam audio adapter here, you can see here on the side you have your dials for your input 1 and you have your dials for your input 2. You can set the line mic at 48 volt. So I had the dynamic mic on line input 1, and I had the condenser, the Røde NT1 on input 2, which I have set to 48 volt. You can set your attenuation, you can set your low cut, so you have a couple filters. You can tell it to auto level. You can turn the limiter on and off, and you can adjust the gain. It also has a LED for overload if necessary. Over here then you have selectors. You can either combine 1 plus 2 or you can treat them separately, which is what I did. Now the other thing is you can say, okay, you want 1 and 2. You can switch down that you only want 1, and then you can switch it up, and then you can say you want input 3. So on the other side of the Tascam adapter, you have the 2 XLRs here, and then you have input 3, and that's a stereo 3.5mm jack that you can use for another mic with a 3.5mm, something like, for example, the picoMic wireless mix that I use, or the Rode Wireless Go 2, or even other microphones. But you cannot use both the XLRs and that. It's either or. On the back of the adapter, you have a switch where you can use this 3.5mm port here as a headphone port, so you can monitor the audio. Or if you run the adapter in passive mode, you switch this up, and then this becomes your connection to the camera using the supplied 3.5mm stereo cable. And the other thing they've done is they've given us this extra cold shoe attachment, so you can actually replace the hot shoe with a cold shoe. Again, as I said, so you have the option to power the Tascam adapter with this little attachment here. There are switches here, so you have your switch for on and off, and you have your switch where you basically define if you're running on nickel metal hybrid batteries, on lithium or on alkaline batteries, so it knows what it is. So let's go to detaching the audio adapter. When you try to push this, nothing happens. And there's a little button here, so you have to press that to release the lever. So we'll do this, and then now we can slide it over to the side, and then it comes out. And then you should obviously replace the plastic cover that came with the R5C and the hot shoe. That should go back in here to keep it weather sealed. And then the same thing as you have a cover for this one, for the hot shoe, that also goes back on to protect that. So that's the one thing. Now, this battery adapter, I looked at this first, and it looks like it's going here, but I didn't know what to do. And basically, it feels like you'd be breaking something, but no, you just basically put the force in, you just pull it out, and it's fine. You won't break anything. It just has these tabs that hold it in place. And you can see then that you have the locking here for the battery adapter. The other thing you need to do, this is also not quite obvious. So it looked at how is this connecting to the camera, and this little plastic tab here, this comes also, hang on, yeah, this comes also off. There's a connector here. So that's how you attach this, and then it just clicks in here. So that's that. So when it comes off again, now it won't come off. So it's like, how's that? So there's at the end here, there's a button, press that, and then releases it again. So this button here is the release mechanism for the battery module. So with the battery module, now you can basically power it from these batteries and offload the internal battery of the R5C, and you have your 60 FPS modes back again, apart from 8K 60. For that, you always need the extra battery. So that's one way of doing things. But yeah, all in all, this is very sturdy build. It is plastic, but it is it's good quality. I would put this on a level with the Panasonic adapter for the GH5, the Panasonic XLR1. And then this is metal. So the bracket here for the microphone is metal, and then it's on a rubberized, it has like a rubberized shock mount, and this is plastic with a metal screw again. So with a metal screw here to open this up. And obviously this is designed for shotgun microphones, so my microphones might not necessarily fit. I might be able to get the Shure SM58 in here, but generally this is designed for a shotgun mic. So I hope this was helpful, well, let's see you in another one.